the alcohol and the drugs, for a person who feels powerless to manage their emotions, powerless to whatever it is, psychological crisis is causing them to turn towards drugs and alcohol. Um, I think it's true that that they do get a sense of power out of the chemicals, for many decades. Even it's almost like a reliable sense of power. I mean, it's almost like as easy as plugging into a wall, right? And it's, I think, and going back to what we were just talking about, I think it is too, like, I think it should be categorized as a spiritual power. Alcohol, the word for alcohol in Latin is spirits, right? Spiritus. And Jung said, the helpful formula is spiritus contra spiritum. And so, and I think that I don't think he was saying that you have to fight alcoholism with spirituality, although I think that is that's a true way of sort of depicting that statement. But I think that it goes back to that deeper level, that more archetypal level, right? Where it's not, alcoholism isn't just a pathology, right? It's literally a deep longing for spiritual connection and to access spiritual power.
100%, very devotional in that way. And it also highlights, well, a couple things. Yeah. It sort of explains this idea of it being like a genetic disease. It's inherited, yada, yada, meaning that it is a complex bigger than our own ego. It is an autonomous function that is born in the psycho-spiritual body and serves the exact same, the presentation is the exact same way as if it was a genetic disease, etc. Right? And this was something that your book actually really helped me clarify in my own path of recovery, right? And that, in looking at the wholeness of this archetype of the alcoholic, and you've made the connections to shamanism and the ability to go into that descent, right? It is that same autonomous function that is driving us deep into the roots and into, Dante's Inferno. But it's also that same power that I think allows us to jump through like that small hoop or across that bridge, that gift of differentiation. But it's that same power that we have that helps us put our lives back together, that we use in recovery, use in our quest for wholeness. But instead of, an immediate plug into the wall for that psychological shift or, access to power, it is this sort of daily maintenance of this spiritual reprieve.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And and I think the word for that is, I like the word vocation as a description of that. Jung said that compulsion is the great mystery of human life, right? And so that the real power is in the unconscious, and it compels us, right? Like, it compels us to burn our lives to the ground on one hand, but then it's that same compelling force, like just what you were saying in recovery, that, all of the sudden this person who didn't want anything to do with spiritual ideas is now just completely dedicated and devoted to spirituality. And that is also that the power is that compulsive element, right? It's funny because, and I say this from personal experience, like, it looks like discipline, right? Like, often people in recovery, they just look like they're highly disciplined, and they do this thing, and Wilson says we're undisciplined and we need some discipline, and I'll give him that. But I don't think that discipline is the thing that keeps us going, right? I think it's something deeper than discipline. It is that power and that compulsion, and as we discover our vocations.
Absolutely. And it's the same way that discipline or self-will is not enough to help us put down the drink or whatever, right? It stands no chance. And again, I can only speak from my own experience too, right? Like, I'm not connected to the word discipline. You could look at my life and like, this is a disciplined person, but my fuel, my motivation, like that, the inspiration or the enthusiasm of how I live my life, it sure as fuck better come from a place that hits way deeper than discipline. And I believe that is something that is unique to not necessarily the alcoholic, but maybe, people who psychospiritually are more driven in a devotional sort of way. Right.